The Sundays were an English pop band from Bristol that existed from 1988 to 1997 and were centred around the pair of the guitarist David Gavurin, I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right, and singer Harriet Wheeler. They had a pretty slow output over that period of time with only 3 albums, but decent success with them. Partly the slowness apparently was because Harriet is a perfectionist when it comes to the songwriting. In 2014, it was confirmed that Harriet and David are still writing and recording music, but it was admitted that maybe never of it will ever see the light of day. Hi, my name's Dan, and this is a review of the album Reading, Writing, and Arithmetic by the Sundays, which was released in 1990 and was their first album. But it's actually my second time reviewing this. Before I had video reviews, I had a blog. I had a different list that I was using, which was only 1,000 long, but it was one that I'd put together. And I didn't have huge confidence in it. But it does mean that after I've switched to Acclaimed Music's list, and which is 3 times as long, there are occasions when I come across albums that I've already reviewed once. I don't stint. I don't just pull out the old review and read it out. I do a couple of more listens, I do some more reading, and I form a new opinion, except it's quite often the same opinion as the old opinion. But, we'll see. So let's get into it then. This is, I would call it indie pop, possibly light pop rock. It's kind of, it's a pop rocky thing. And there was a thing around at this time, this was early 90s, and there was definitely a kind of collection of stuff that was around that was pop rock, in that it was poppy, it was lightish, easy, and accessible, which is what pop's generally about. But it was not as produced and as kind of electronic sounding as some of the stuff that was around in the charts. It did sound like a band. This, in my head, this goes with people like the Rembrandts and several others. They Might Be Giants, and I'm going to mention Crowded House. I will mention them again later. So the rock that is what makes it, I think, pop rock rather than just pop. We've got drums, bass, guitar. Sometimes that's acoustic, sometimes electric, usually not overdriven. And the general feeling is quite light and accessible as a result, I would say. And as I said, one of my go-to comparisons for pop rock is Crowded House. I don't know why. I like Crowded House, but kind of go, would it fit on the same, if there was a festival and they're on the same bill, or in a somebody's categorization of their music, would it fit next to it with the CDs? Not that you have CDs anymore. On the same, would you get tracks from similar people and put them on a playlist? And my answer is yes. Basically, this would fit with that kind of stuff. I do want to pick out that I think that musically, although it is musically pretty straightforward, there's a deftness and a lightness of touch here musically, which is, I felt like I wanted to go, it's the opposite of a lot of rock, which bites. It's got this kind of grrr to it, and this isn't. And the opposite of bite isn't suck in my world. Especially, I want to say there's quite a soft approach to the guitar strumming. It's quite kind of laid back isn't the right word, unobtrusive, and kind of approached in a gentle manner. Let's talk about the voice, Harriet's voice, because I really like it. She's got a clear and strong voice. I think it's a real shame that this band kind of come to an end. I think it's a shame there's not a lot more of her singing around. She's not my absolute favourite female vocals around, but she's pretty high, I would say. This is very good, and rightly, the focus of the mix is on her voice. One critic that I read this time around compared her to Eddie Reader of Fairground Attractions. So, of course, that's not going to mean anything to you if you don't know of Fairground Attraction. It did to me. I had not had that thought before. Well, now that I've read it, I can't unhear it. So yeah, I can definitely get there's a similarity there in style of voice, but it's a great voice. I love Eddie Reader's voice as well, as it happens. songs. So Here's Where the Story Ends was a hit. I like it. It was something that was played on the radio quite a bit at the time. The others, so I wasn't really sure about the themes, but I picked up some stuff about life and relationships and love. As I say, it didn't have a huge impact on me, but it's not dark, but it's not super happy. It's more kind of optimism in the face of general life, while acknowledging things can be difficult. And I think that this is exemplified in the line from the Here's Where the Story Ends, which is just a little souvenir from a horrible year or a terrible year, I can't remember. And it's like taking something positive out of something that wasn't so good. That feels like it's the core of how this album feels generally. And overall, I'd say there's a feeling of lightness and softness, a great voice. I'd say the Sundays is actually a great name for them. It's got that kind of feel of slightly chilled and relaxed, and things aren't quite so pressured at this point. I did enjoy it, fairly obviously. Quite a bit of that, I would say, is just that I enjoy the sound of her voice. So that's what I think. I'd love to know what you think of this album. So please, if you know it, uh, leave me a comment. If you don't know it and it sounds interesting to you, please have a listen and then leave me a comment. I love to find out what people know about these albums. Often I get people giving me memories of, when they first heard an album. That's great. I love when people share stuff like that. But that's it from me for now.